Hello and welcome to Journey to a Dream, brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. This is a podcast where we talk to people who are just passionate about motorcycle racing. They might be riders themselves, they might be involved behind the scenes, whatever it is, we want to talk to them. And if that fits your bill, then please do get in touch. And what is really great is when we talk to people who are just setting out on their journey to race over here on the Isle of Man. And our guest today is one such person. And already, even though he's only just 26, he's had such a varied career, which has really brought him to the place where he is today. Let's meet him now.
My name's Finn Chapman. I'm originally from England and I live in Germany now for just over 3 years. I think it's been a week or so past. And I am a test rider for Kramer motorcycles and I'm also a designer. So I've got a nice technical job that involves both on track and also, technical aspects. I've been racing motorcycles now for just 3 years. My first time on it was in 2022. My background comes from mountain biking, so I'm a downhill mountain biker and racing in the international series. And then I made my switch across, and the last 3 years has just taken off for me. So I've been extremely lucky for the opportunities given to get onto a motorcycle and have the training I've had. And I'm here now entering the Manx Grand Prix, and it's incredible for me. And after this weekend was eye-opener for sure for what the road racing world is. I do some road racing back in Europe, so I've been racing in Czech and Germany, plus the German Championship on the 1000 a couple of years ago. So I've had a very short and compact career in racing, but it's gone really well for me so far.
And you mentioned the weekend, that's one of the MGP newcomer weekends that you've just come back from. And everybody I've spoken to who's been over here for any amount of time, and I don't think the weather was too bad for you. They are just buzzing, Finn. It is just something that really seems to take hold of people. And naturally, I guess you just want to get back here again and do as many laps as you possibly can.
Exactly. The weather was very cold. I'm quite used now to a German winter, which is snow, but it's not so windy cold that you got. But being on the seaside was a shock for me. Even though I'm English, I'm still shocked by it. So it was a cold weekend, but really nice to see. It's weird to see it without any leaves on the trees, you could say. I've been playing my PlayStation game, and it looks different just because of the trees. I came back and played it last night, and it's really helped the weekend, of course, to learn the track further. But you can't replicate it unless you're there. So definitely was buzzing this weekend. It's nice to meet all the newcomers. I think there's roughly 25 or 26 of us, and then with the instructors and all the people who help and organise it all. It was a really good weekend, fantastic team. So I really have to thank everyone from there. So Heather's done a great job organising it. Meeting Lee and Carol in the pub for the evening for a chat, you really can see the passion that the guys have there. I mean, they've told me they moved their house to the Isle of Man basically based on the motorcycle racing. So really, really special place to be. It's been a long time dream. It's been since I've been probably 12 or 13. I started dreaming of doing this kind of stuff. And then, more than 10 years on, I'm here now doing this. So it's incredible. The mountain, you can't replicate it unless you're there. You can't understand how these corners work and so late turning points. Of course, the danger as well. You can't hide that. And I had the opportunity to go to places like the Ferry Bridge. David Datzer, the German motorcycle road racer, came with me. He's supporting me and teaching me the track and his ways of doing it. And he got extremely emotional when we went to the bridge, and you really get the feeling because, of course, he's had his small crash there. I say small because he survived it, of course. It's a big thing. Can't take that wrong, how dangerous it is. But what you can take is that the team are really making sure you're safe as possible and everyone's going with the right mindset. It was really explaining that it's a 3-year process. There's no entering this race and expecting to turn up like a short circuit. It's a real learning process, and that's what's good to take away. So, very, very good weekend for that, definitely.
And you mentioned some of the people you met, Heather Fox from the Manx Motorcycle Club, Lee and Carol Bartram, who are friends of this podcast and also from the Andreas Racing Association. And it's lovely, I think, Finn, that you've got the chance to meet the other newcomers and going on past experience speaking to people on this journey. There's a real friendship that forms with those newcomers. I don't know whether you've set up your WhatsApp group yet or whatever, but there's something very important about being with people and talking to people who truly do understand what you're going through.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a bit quiet this weekend for myself, to be fair. It was a whole new thing for me and just taking it all in. But I sat next to a lad called Luke Blevins, I think his second name was, and a super lovely lad. And he's from the Isle of Man, so I'm sure you guys know him better than I do. He's been telling me that he's been getting up very early because of his newborn child. So fair play to him for doing it because he was shafted, I think, in the morning.
Juggling that with family life is quite a thing. And just from your point of view, you talked about the mountain biking, which was such a big part of your life previously. I guess the question has to be, you're very used to being on two wheels. Why did you suddenly want to put an engine on it?
I had an opportunity after I finished my mountain biking. I was all right. I wasn't going anywhere special. And finished up my mountain biking career and decided that I wanted to work in motorcycles. I worked in Formula One before as an engineer. And the next step for me was to stay on the two wheels, follow the racing. My dad was in MotoGP when I was younger, as a machinist and engineer. And for me, it was always a logical step to get into that. So I looked for a job, actually in Germany at Kramer Motorcycles. And they've got quite a history as well with the Isle of Man. They were racing with Sean Anderson and Sarah in the Super Honor category. And yeah, I joined then now 3 years ago as just a sort of an intern for 6 months and to see if I could learn the language and things. And during that internship, I got a chance to ride a bike, and it all took off from there, from the first test. So yeah, it's just down to my luck. Most of this is down to luck for me that I found the right people at the right time. So that was a good example.
Oh, that's lovely though, Finn. And I think it just shows sometimes if you are on the right path, things tend to happen for you and opportunities open up. Just curious about your F1 background, because to a lot of people that sounds like a very glamorous world. Was it from your point of view?
Yeah, it was awesome. Really special time for me. I was working for Mercedes AMG Formula One, and we were world champions. I think every year I was working with them, we stayed world champions. So I had a great time there. I was also working as a machinist engineer, slowly transitioning up, sort of getting myself from the apprenticeship. I think I did a 3 or 2 year apprenticeship with them and stayed on for another year after. So, yeah, I was only a young lad and I was doing a lot of hours, as everyone is there. Everyone in Formula One works absolutely weekends and everything. It's a full on, it's more than just a job. It's part of your life, that motorsport. And for me at that point, I wanted to go off and do the mountain biking. So I think I got to 22 years old and decided that I needed a bit of time for myself, sort of some traveling, and see if I'd come back to it a bit again. So it's very glamorous. It's a very special place to be. I really enjoyed it, and I've met a lot of really amazing people through there.
Very much gets you used to high pressure, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's no place to come and expect and do a half a job. It's somewhere you got to give it your all. Especially if you're training, as I was training for my mountain biking on the side of it. I was probably sleeping not enough and working too hard on everything, but that's what you do when you're a bit younger, I think, and you've got a passion and you love it. You don't really look into the future in that sense. You enjoy what you got at that moment. I talk like this. I'm a bit older now. I'm only 26, but it feels like I've done quite a lot already.
And you mentioned your dad's career previously. How much would you say that has influenced you?
Very much so. I've got photos of me visiting the MotoGP, sitting on a Proton KR 500 two-stroke from Jeremy McWilliams. And since then, that's always been something that's been on my wall, and you always think about in my chat. When I was younger, I used to chat my dad's ear off about engines, motorbikes, cars, whatever I could think of. I'd not be interested in anything else but that, which I think most people are in this kind of lifestyle when you're into motorbikes. But yeah, that all the way through school and everything was always trying to do something, go-karting, whatever I could get my hands on. Of course, it's very expensive. That's always the issue, is motorcycle racing. Any form of motorcycle or motor sport is expensive. So that was always what was blocking me. But my parents gave me the chance to try it with quad bikes and things like that. So I was very lucky to have that support coming up. But it always stayed there, this dream to do it. I guess it was just coming a little bit later when I could support it myself.
And you mentioned, obviously, the financial support and the backing of parents is so important. Were they okay sort of emotionally from their point of view? Because you've touched on the dangers, not only in motorbike racing, but also mountain biking. You can hurl yourself down some pretty steep mountains and drops and whatever. Were they all okay with that?
Oh, God, yeah. So mountain biking, I hurt myself quite a lot. I was very much kind of throw everything at the wall at it. I've broken both my arms and done the whole job on it. So they know what I'm like in before time, you could say. But the good thing is they've seen obviously the change in me since I've got started this motorbike racing. You can't treat it the same as mountain biking. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but back in mountain biking, it's very much of just as dangerous. The danger is just as much there. You've got trees within millimeters on the race runs. You're pushing yourself to the limit on these jumps, and you're trying to make the speed up on this super steep downhill course. What's funny is actually technically in terms of riding, I find motorcycle racing and downhill mountain biking quite similar with your front end feeling and trust and braking. There is, of course, very different techniques needed, but the commitment needed and the way that you are using the motorcycle and the bicycle to get around the course as fast as you can and line up for the next corner, it's relatively similar. So I think that's where my natural progression came from, is that I've got those in me already from the racing. And then going on to my parents, yeah, they've seen my crashes and stuff, but the last few years has definitely been a change of mindset for myself coming into the motorcycle racing, because you are going faster and you are getting close to, but you've got closed circuit tracks, you have got the space. But since I've been doing my road racing for the last year and a half now, it changes your way of doing things. You can no longer expect that every single corner can be 100%. You need to have a bit of room in reserve. I actually entered the Hodage, which is a road race in Czech Republic. I entered that last year, and I ended up winning it. It was my first road race, and I entered the super monocategory on a Kramer, and I stalled it on the start. I started fourth and I dropped down to 20-something on the first lap. So I brought it back and got the win in the end. But that really showed to me that I'm in the right mindset now, because I took that race as whatever comes out, it is what it is. We're just going to do the race and see how it comes. And every lap by lap, just found my pace, found the lines, got everything right. There was never a risk that went over the top. It's always a risk, of course, it's racing, but it's, you got to be clever. There's no room to be an idiot and go out there and push too hard. So yeah, that was what was, I think, also for my parents good to see, is they watched the whole thing when I stalled on the line, got passed by 20 people and came back from it and ended up winning. So that was good for them to see that I could stay in control and I wasn't doing anything silly on those first few laps when you've got swarms of people around you. So yeah, and we've always been chatting about it. And when I told my mum, you can expect that, the parents are never the happiest about this decision. So neither is my grandparents or any of them, but they all are motorsport orientated and they get it. And slowly I've won them over, and my parents are now going to come and visit and watch for the Friday till to the Monday. So they're going to see my last qualifying lap and then on to the races along with my brother. I'm hoping to get the other bits and bobs of the family out as well. So yeah, I've got a nice WhatsApp group of everyone going on and keeping in contact. So yeah, it's taken some time, you could say, to win them over, but they seem to be really supportive of it, and that's very, very good for me, because I need that from a family perspective. You can't do this you can't really do this racing without anything in your head that makes you question it. You have to be fully committed and really, really sure of what this is about. So that's where that comes from, I guess, is the family backing. You can't do it without the support of people, be it friends, girlfriend, family, whatever. Even from those at the newcomers event, if you're not feeling comfortable with someone racing this, you're not going to let them. You've got to be in the right mindset. If you see something going wrong, if you see somebody not treating it with respect, I think that's the biggest word I could use, is more the respect for the course. If you don't have that, then you shouldn't be there. It's a special island, but it's got no room for jokers, and it's got no room for people who think it's going to be an easy weekend to get on with and just turn up and learn it on the day. You've got to do a lot of homework. And that's, I guess, a lot of what my mountain biking's taught me, is that you are doing 2 practice runs before your race run on a mountain bike. In the Enduro World Series that I did, you're allowed to walk the track as much as you want, but you don't know the track's there until the week before. And usually you're traveling from Spain, going to Italy to France, so you don't get there until a few days before. And yeah, that's where I guess a lot of this quick learning method from mountain biking has helped me here. It's a bigger track. This one is obviously an hour in a car to get around it, and around 60 kilometers, I think. There's a lot to learn, but that's what this is all about. Next few months will always be at home. Sadly, I can't get over until the end of April, because of course you guys have got the roadworks, I believe, coming in April. But after that, I'll be coming for my second visit, and then I'll be over again for the final newcomers event. So there's a lot of homework to do now, playing this game, watching these onboards. But yeah, Milky's given us a few ideas and a few videos how to do this a bit better. Sean Anderson's going to be helping me, or he is helping me already as well, learning about the track from the other side of the world. Well, other side of the phone. He's in England, obviously. And then Datsy as well. So I've got some great people backing me for this and helping me every step through the way. A lot of work coming for this one.
Really is. I'm just curious. I mean, you've come such a long way in a relatively short space of time. If you've only been road racing since 2022, so having that win last year must have been such a boost to your confidence. At what point did the Manx Grand Prix feature on your goal list?
I'd say the Isle of Man TT itself, I used to watch it all the time when I was younger. Every week it was on throughout the race weekend or the race week. I'd be glued to the telly. Me and my dad would watch it together probably since I was 14 or something. So I've always known it's around, and I've been aware that the Manx Grand Prix, of course, is the usual runner up to becoming into, to get in the entry into the Isle of Man TT. But I didn't know much more of that. And I didn't have a motorcycle back then. So as far as I was aware, that was just a cool race happening, and I loved watching it. It gave me adrenaline, just getting to see it. I guess when I started motorbike racing, the word road race, it's quite a strange word, I guess, especially here in Europe. It's quite a dangerous word. It's got like a red flag next to that name, because we are just circuit racers, most of us here in Europe. But I would say last year, I chatted to my boss, Marcus Kramer, and I had a chat with him that I wanted to start doing some road racing after my super stock year at the IDM. He gave me the chat where he told me, look, this isn't the right thing. At that point, I was still a little bit gung-ho on a bike and still having my crashes and gosh, it was only a year a bit ago now, but it was a completely different mentality back then where I just wanted to prove myself and just be as fast as I could. I had a really good mechanic as well for my year in IDM, Felix. He was awesome. He's mechanic over at Kramer still as well. He's our development mechanic. Yeah, he supported me for free. Didn't want any money or anything. And he helped me get through it. We both actually started riding at the same time. We both got our first track day together. So we've known each other since the start of my career in this. So he's great to have, and he's progressed incredibly. He's now moved on to a level that you could give to any world championship rider, basically, and he'd be able to make your bike faster and make you faster. So he's working with a lot of good riders like Pax Obersberger in the IDM now. Yeah, we've just actually developed a new bike for the Moto America. So that's like your national championship in America. And that's for the kids to ride the new Talent Cup, which will get them to the MotoGP eventually. I think the top 3 get entry into the Red Bull Rookies. So we've just developed that bike together, me as a test rider and then him as the development mechanic. So he's done the whole thing on his shoulders, I'd say. And I've been supplying him the CAD, the design work. And then we've had the bike working on for the whole year, and we've come up with it now. So the bikes have just been sent off to America and they've been delivered. So yeah, it's been a big journey like that. So it's a quick progression what I've managed to do, and I'm very aware that it's a short amount of time to come. But the nice thing is I've had the chance to sort of slow down a little bit the last year now of my road racing, and spoke to my boss again at the end of the year. He's been very impressed with the changes and has basically said he'd support me into this now. So to have the okay from him is the one that I would respect the opinion the most. He's the one who's seen it all. He's seen me from the start of motorbike racing and the change in the mindset. It's been a long couple of years actually as well, because learning German's not been easy. I've had to actually take on the challenge of learning a new language here. It's all of that you can think of put together, not just motorcycle road racing. It's the whole personality change that comes with a new life like this. So it's been quite an emotional run up to this point, but yeah, it's there now. And I'd say I feel I'm definitely ready. And I've also got the backing of people who think I am too. So yeah, that's where I convince myself with the confidence that I can do this. And this weekend's proven to that. To me, it's a nice outcome what's happened from this weekend. So.
And it's great to hear you talking, Finn, because it's clear that while you, again, have got that natural ability, you are so open to hearing feedback and taking that on board and progressing with it.
Yeah, you have to be very mindful, I guess, of yourself. You have to really understand, where are you? What do you feel about things, and what's your thoughts and processes going into stuff? And am I ready for this? That's always the biggest question, is am I actually ready for this? You hear so many different opinions and people think about this racing, and not just even road racing, just motorcycle racing in general. I think if you ask most normal people, and let them know that you're a motorcycle racer, they think you're crazy enough. So when you tell them, I'm going to do some road racing as well, you do question yourself quite a few times, because that opinion's is quite strong out there. But being involved every day of my life in the motorcycle racing, you're much deeper into it. You're talking to a lot more people in the industry, and that's where I'm really lucky. I am so lucky to be in a position I have, and to have the support, sponsors, and all these sort of people backing me into this. That's where I guess it's helped me fast track as well. I've had a lot of ride time now. The last few years, I've had incredible amount of time on the bikes. I've developed the Moto2 bike that we run, GP2 from Kramer. I developed the Double R with Felix on that. I did the 350 model for kids, all sorts of bikes. What we call now is the XX model, which is our sort of hooligan naked bike style. It's been so lucky for me to be involved in all of this projects. And plus on top of that now to come into this where I get given the time off of work to focus on learning the Manx. That's Marcus is very supportive in me taking the holiday to do this. He wants me to take all the time I need to get this track into my head. And he also is a big supporter of the Manx. He supported a lot of people doing this already. So yeah, I feel very proud that he has given me this support. And that's also something as well, as I'm very proud of the people who trust me into this and want to help.
Well, it sounds like they're very proud of you too. I'm just curious, where were you when you found out that your MGP entry had been accepted, and what was your initial reaction to that? Can you remember?
Oh God, been training. I do a lot of bicycle riding, I'd say on a trainer indoor. And I've been pushing quite hard this winter because I entered in my head, you could say, I actually put myself forward to this last year. I thought, that's it, I'm doing this, it's going to happen, whatever. I went full in. For me, it was always pushing my training and trying to learn this track. So I'd be sat on the nearly an hour every night. I try and get to about 10 to 12 hours of training a week, but I'd be sat on the trainer indoors and watching the Manx Grand Prix onboards. There's a few that Sean's given me. Sean Anderson sort of said I should watch. I've been doing that over and over. And yeah, I was just on the trainer, I remember, and something pinged up on it. I said, from Heather Fox, and there we go. That was it. So it came at the right time when you are training and you're going through those hard hours after work and you're feeling tired and you want to go and cook something and go to bed. But no, it came just at that time, which is nice because it thinks that's what it's all for. You see that when you're training, and it just kicks up a whole new level of motivation when you get the entry. So for me, that's always a moment I remember, is that it's sometimes at the hardest times that you're doing stuff, things can come out of the blue. You don't even you don't even expect it sometimes. But yeah, that was a nice moment to have, especially when you're dying in sweat and you just want to finish off the hour session. Yeah.
Yeah, you make it sound so appealing. I might just jump on the bike myself. In terms of what happens now then, obviously, it feels like we've got ages speaking here, sort of third week of February, but we know how quickly time goes, especially when you've got so much on. What do the next few months look like for you in terms of preparing yourself, making sure you've got the sponsorship and that sort of thing?
Right now, it's the time to sort of reflect. I'm taking a few weeks more than anything now to reflect, come up with some questions to sort of my mentors who are helping me out and work on this. Because the first stage is making sure your bike is ready. There's a big list of stuff I need to do to the bike, like that fuel tank. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but a standard fuel tank won't make 2 laps. So I need to first find out where I can get myself a bigger fuel tank for my bike. You need to also work on things like making sure that you've got your food supply on the bike, or you say the water supply. So I've just realized that my sponsor 4SR, they do my levers for me, but they offer a hydration pack, which is exactly what you need for this, because of course on 4 laps of this is going to be looking more than an hour and a half, so you need to keep yourself hydrated in this racing. So things like this where you're just chatting to sponsors now and trying to make sure everything's ready, plus trying to make sure that you've secured all the sponsorship you can, because there's never enough in this world of motorsport to funding. Again, I'm super lucky with the sponsors I have, like 4SR and all the people who are looking out for me at Kramer, and yeah, there's so much you have to try and prepare and get the bike ready. So I've got the bike now off to the tuners. I've got a nice RP tuning exhaust, who's a Czech company. And Robert, I know him personally. He came to watch my first win last year. He wanted to help me out. So he's given me an exhaust and helping me along with my dream, which is amazing. So getting this bike ready, get myself ready for that, making sure I do my track maps, chatting to everybody that I can, just to talk about the racing and get everything sorted. For instance, you need your fire suits for your team. I am going as a privateer, so I'm taking my own team with me. Friends and family mostly are just going to be helping out.
Have you picked out who's going to do what?
Yeah. I'm very early. I tried to make sure I got my team. So I think all of them wanted to do it anyways. So I've got my girlfriend's brother, Nikki, her dad, Thomas, who's the mechanic at Kramer. He's delighted to come and help me out and do this. And he's taken his own holiday off to do this as well, just to come and support me and be there. And then I've also got another one of my sponsors from Germany who wants to come out. So I've got a full German team. I'm actually working as a German team, which is quite funny, because to think about this, 3 years ago, I hadn't even spoken a word of German really in my life. And at this point now I'm speaking German every day, talking to these people in German. So I'm entering as a German team in my heart, really. As much of an Englishman I am, I'm entering as a German licensed rider with a German Irish team. So yeah, it's very exciting for me to do that. Need their fire suits. That's the next thing I've got to sort out. All this kind of stuff behind it that goes into it. I've got a huge list to get through, but I think just after April is my plan to come for the next trip.
Just wondering, obviously your German is pretty good now, it sounds like, but have you worked out how to say fill it up quickly?
Schnell danken. People laugh at my German still. They still find it that cute sort of English German, but it's enough that I can communicate to these guys out in German. So I'd say I've got the Dinglish, which is a Deutsch-English kind of mix here. But my girlfriend makes fun of me for that still, but she's doing great. She's helping me learn it as well. So there's a team effort in that sense.
And just think about your girlfriend. Is she generally into bikes, or is this a bit of a new departure for her?
Yeah, her dad used to work in motorcycles with BMW. Her brother's raced motorcycles as well. That's actually how I met her, was through her brother on the racetrack. So she's seen it from the start as well from me, really. I think it was my second year I was racing when I met her, and I've already had her on the racetrack watching me. He came to most of my events, my national series, and supported me, and she watched my first win as well last year, which was absolutely devastating for her because she had to watch me fall to the back of the grid and come back, so it must have been hard. But yeah, she's fully supportive, and she's one of the main reasons I'm doing this. I'm able to do this because of her support, so I'm very lucky for that.
Oh, that's lovely. And I don't think you could be in a relationship where that wasn't the case, because it doesn't sound like you have very much time to put into romance, maybe.
No, exactly. The training. She does her training when I do mine. We share the living room out. So she's got her running machine and she does her yoga while I'm out there sweating on the bike. We share the time out, and then we cook for each other, and we've got a dog between us as well. So we take the dog out together, and we get enough time for that stuff. But yeah, you're right. So it's a lot of commitment, and she really does understand that. And that's special to have. You need somebody in your life who can support you and help you and do those bike rides on the weekends when you just want to chill, when it's freezing cold in the winter. She joins me. She gets out there on the e-bike and rides with me. So yeah, it's special.
Tell us about your dog.
Digi. It's named after Digi Antonio from MotoGP, and he's a German Shepherd. And he's actually gone to bed. I thought he'd be here annoying me while I'm trying to do this. He's 1 and a bit years old, but he's coming a long way. And yeah, he goes running with us, and it's just starting to get on the bikes now. He can go with us, and he's an absolute pleasure to have. He's really good. He's a very special dog for us. So, and I said, I'm not having a German Shepherd in my life. I told her that because I never wanted a big dog. Met him, and I was like, no, come on, let's go. Taking him with us.
I love the fact you said about him getting used to being on the bike. I thought you meant actually him physically riding. One of the things, Finn, that's so important now for racers is having a presence out there, your social media, where people can find you and find out how you're doing. And obviously there's that responsibility to the sponsors as well. How do you find that side of things?
It's been a long learning curve for me. So when I started motorcycle racing, I wouldn't ask help for anybody. I try and do this all on my own back. Don't take any sponsors, really just try and make it, because I already felt like I shouldn't have been in this position. I already felt like I've had my fun in my racing, and I was really lucky to just be working in motorcycles. That was honestly my dream 3 years ago, was just to be a designer. I had, of course, interest, but I had zero dreams of becoming a racer, because at this age and so late coming into it, I could never really become something. So having the opportunity to have sponsors and, for instance, joining podcasts like yourself, able to just talk about my history, and hopefully some people might find it interesting and have a look at my Instagrams and social medias. Yeah, it's very important to do that. And reaching out is a huge thing in motorsport, where everybody in motorsport knows it's not what everyone likes to do, but it's the thing that needs to happen. Is you need to ask for these support. You need to make sure that you've got the right safety equipment. For instance, you need a good airbag suit, you need good leathers. These are all expensive parts, and something I did very early on was buy a £200 suit and expect that to be fine. And luckily, before I had my first crash, my boss saw that I had a very bad quality suit and got me a nice new one from 4SR. So I've been treated very well from the start. But you don't want to scrape the budget on things like that, and that's where sponsors can really help a lot, is making sure that you stay safe, and then you can use your money on things like tires to make sure that you're going to be able to progress. Tires are the death of my budget. They are always the worst things. I end up riding the same tires on practice days till they go past zero, and then buy a new one for the race and use that for the rest of practicing. So I'm probably one of the worst people out there for old tires. I think my mechanics get very upset with me when I'm chucking on something from 3 or 4 years old, but that's that is part of the racing for me, is the budget, being able to kind of weigh up, what can you do with that. But this year's been much better for me. The first couple of years was hard, especially in my IDM season. The 1000 EC bikes, they eat up the tires, and there's no chance to run old stuff on that. You have to put new ones on. So that was a big learning curve, and it took a lot of learning in terms of the budget, as my sponsor Tommy Wagner knows. So sorry to him. He really helped me out in that year. I was very lucky to find the sponsors for that from B&W. They ended up supporting me at a Munich B&W dealer after racing with him in a training session, and he wanted to support me for my first assignment. I never ridden a 1000cc before, and he says, "Here, let's have a go on that. Let's see what you do for a national series." But I'll jump on this 1000, and I do all right in the practicing and stuff, but every race I went to was a new track for me. So it was always a battle for me, just turning up, getting used to the track, still learning the bike. But by the end of the series, I think I got to my best of a 13th position. I think I managed that 3 times and started off at around 19th. So was progressing and learning on the bike, but yeah, the cost is astronomical sometimes. And I'm sure everyone knows in motorsport this. So, yeah, once is the king there. You've really got to reach out and do that. So if I can convince any of the racers out there that, who are a little bit like hidden or don't want to be seen, or how can I say this, don't want to reach out and look like you're asking, people want to support you. The people close to you probably want to support you the most. And there are always people out there on track days who would like some tutoring. There's always people out there who want to see your story and just be a part of it. Maybe that's where most of mine has come from. If you're just happy and you're smiley and you can turn up and have a conversation with people, a lot of them are ended up willing to help. That's where I've been so lucky, is that my little bit of German that I've learned, and my character, I can just kind of turn up to people and smile and get involved in conversation. It's worked out really well for me. And yeah, that's just where I've been so far. So I've done a lot of coaching. Whether I'm a good coach or not, I don't know, but it seems to be working, where I coach people and you get a little bit of help and support from tires and things like that.
Oh, Finn, it's been brilliant talking to you, and we are delighted to be part of your story as you sort of embark on this year. Can't wait to see you out there on the start line. You mentioned Instagram, social media. Where can people follow you if they want to keep up to date?
My Instagram is Finn, Finn, crazy chicken. It's all one word.
Do you need to explain that before we go on?
as my nickname given to me during my first year of racing. I ended up doing some pretty fast laps. I think it's my third time on the bike, and who are now my sponsors back then was the track day company I was with. And I think it was during the award ceremony for the day. They ended up calling me Finn Crazy Chicken because of this turning up and winning it. But yeah, that's a funny nickname. But that's what I'm taking on. I'm carrying that with me. So you'll see my t-shirts as well. I'll be selling some t-shirts for some support. So if anybody's interested in merchandise, you can also get that through. Just give me a message on Instagram. But I'm also available on Facebook, just as Finn Chapman.
Wonderful. If there's not a chicken on your racing helmet, we're going to be disappointed. You know that, don't you? Finn, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and for teaching us that little bit of German. We'll be practicing that before we see you over here. All the very best for the next few months. And as I say, yeah, can't wait to see you on the start line.
Thank you very much, Beth, for your time. Nice to be on the podcast.
Finn Crazy Chicken Chapman. Brilliant to talk to him from Germany in this episode. And again, every single thing crossed. I hope the next few months are as smooth as they possibly can be. All the links to follow Finn will be on the podcast page, so you can keep up to date with his social media. As ever, if you'd like to get in touch with the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. BethEsby@manxradio.com is the best email address. It's brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance, and you can find out how you can get covered by them by visiting their website, which is kawasaki-insurance.co.uk. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.